Okay, it says recording. We're good.
Okay, perfect. So my name's Holly, and this is my husband, Bo. We took the Dave Ramsey class at our church starting in March, and it was a 9-week hour and 15, 20-minute class every Sunday for 9 straight weeks. So it's a lot of information. We're obviously not going to get through nearly all of it tonight, but I wanted to kind of just start with the high points on, I think, what most people are wanting to get out of this, which is forming a basic budget and how to track your budget, and then kind of starting into, if we have time at the end, with the debt snowball.
Yeah. And the benefit of Dave Ramsey is that, when you listen to it and you go through it, because at least from our experience, is that it sounds like common sense stuff. Like, yeah, I know how to do that, or I know I need to do that, but it's showing it a way that is kind of idiot proof, that if you just kind of follow these steps, that I think you can find success in it.
Yeah.
So,
and it's also like a Christian background based budget system also, which is really cool. So jumping kind of just right in. Oh, and just background. So I think Deidre kind of posted about it, but so we started this in March and April. He and I are currently 6 figures in debt. Thank you, PA school. So he married a lot of debt. But since March, we have paid off over $15,000 just in our debt alone. So it works. You just got to stick with it and sacrifice. So the whole baseline of his budget, I put a file on the group called the 7 steps to his budget. So really, step 1 is saving $1,000, and that is going to be money that you have in cash or in a checking account, quickly, fast, available. If your car breaks down, if you need a new set of tires, if a kid ends up in a hospital, whatever it is, you've got a quick $1,000 readily available at all times. We have ours in our checking account. A lot of people just have it like in an envelope, literally under their mattress or something like that. The caveat to that is if your total income is currently under $20,000 a year, he just says you need $500. So in our class, the first week, they literally stressed, honestly, that we needed that money by the next Sunday. Yeah. So ideally, within a month, if you can come up with $1,000 to just have aside, that's great. But in our class, they were very serious about, by next Sunday, have the $1,000. So that's first and foremost. That's the baby step number 1. Check it off your list and move on. Number 2 is where we will be for a couple of years, honestly. That is paying off your debt. Paying off all debt besides the house using the debt snowball effect. I probably won't have time to get into the debt snowball effect until next week. If we do, I'll get to it at the very end of today. And the way you tackle paying off all your debt is with the budget, and that's what I'm going to go more into today, is the actual budget and how to make a budget and how to organize your budget and all of that. But so that's step 2. I know some of y'all are already there, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward, just going through the steps on what the rest of the steps look like. Step 3 is putting 3 to 6 months of expenses in your savings. So whatever your average monthly expenses are for everything, you need 3 to 6 months of that in a savings account. That adds up. And so we are going to side on the side of 3 months for now whenever we get to that point. But it just kind of depends on what you're comfortable with having available in a savings account. 3B, I think I put that in the list that I gave y'all, but 3B is kind of like a side step, and that would be the next part, which is saving for a down payment on a house. Dave Ramsey's ultimate statement is going to be paying in cash for a house. Mm-hmm. He also is realistic, though, and knows that people are going to buy houses even when they can't pay 100% for it up front. So his 3B is saving for a down payment on a house, and his down payment size is 20?
I think 20, yeah.
15 to 20%. I'll get back to y'all for sure on that. But it's 15 to 20%. Clearly, we're still renting because we're not even finishing step 2. So Bo and I will be renting because we want to truly follow his plan. So we'll be renting until we can get all of the other debt paid off, because we're just going to follow his plan and stick with it and not fall into the trap of what all of our friends and family tell us that we should be doing. And you can get a house even if you're in debt, blah, 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 blah. So, you don't, and that's what they say. They say renting, is not supposed to be a lifelong thing, but it is, and it is okay until you reach that step in the process. So that's where we're at. Step 4. So honestly, step 4, Bo and I can tell you we know very little about, unfortunately. So we are not financial experts. My husband, I didn't tell y'all, but he is a teacher and a coach. And I am a physician assistant. So neither one of us have finance degrees or business degrees or anything like that. So step 4 is investing 15% of your household total income into Roth IRAs and pre-tax retirement plans.
Which could be like a 401k, a 403b. And a lot of you, if you work for companies or businesses, probably get offered for that and the matching stuff. And for me, I have a 403b because I'm a teacher, and it's just something that honestly, like, because we're not experts, you just need to find someone that you trust as a financial advisor. And if you're involved in a church or you have friends that are involved in that, we both have friends that were in PPA programs and did finance stuff at college, but so we have those contacts. But we found someone that very much, when we talked to him, kind of saw that his principles are very much with Dave Ramsey without outright saying it. And so he helped us out with that and talked us through some of the stuff. And a lot of what he said matches with this. And so our biggest thing with that is, like, if you don't, because retirement's a big deal, and it's something that, a lot of people don't realize that you need to start saving for when you're young. I worked for 3 years before I started putting any money away into retirement. So that's 3 years of that, that income that I lost out on. And so it's important to save for that now, but just find someone that you trust and go and sit down and talk with them. And, a lot of financial advisors, they don't charge you up front for their services. It all comes out of their agreements with the plans that they make and stuff. So that, that would be our suggestion when it comes to that.
So step 5, just quickly, is saving for your kids' education. Obviously, I know vast majority of y'all, or a lot of y'all, have kids. We don't yet. And so to us, plus step 5 is, like, for us, seems like 10 years down the road. So, but just know that, do these things literally step by step. So a lot of people think you should be already saving for your kids' education. But if you're $20,000 in debt, you need to be paying off the $20,000 in debt first before you start saving for your kids' education. And so some of those things are hard for you to really think about, and you really think you need to be saving for your kids' education. But if you follow his principles, he has helped millions upon millions of people with this plan. And so it's all about really trusting the plan and getting rid of some of those things first.
Because the concepts of it are hard to see, especially for us. But when you look at the numbers and, paying off all the debt, and then with the debt snowball, and then all that money that you were paying off in debt month by month in those big chunks, now it goes into
all these other things,
whether it's your down payment or once you have that, then your kids' education. And then once you have that where it needs to be, and then your mortgage and stuff. And so, the debt snowball is something in and of itself, but it's kind of also the basis of all of these steps.
Yeah. So then step 6 is paying off the house early. So he has a 15 to 20 year note. I think he goes with 15-year notes on houses. But he even wants you to pay it off sooner than that once you've completed all these other steps in the process. And then step 7 is building wealth and giving. At the end of the day, Dave Ramsey's big statement is give first, save second, and then pay your bills, and then have fun. And that's kind of more where the Christian guidelines come in, is it is truly all about giving at the end of the day, whenever your finances allow. So he doesn't want you giving $2,000 a month to the church if you are $20,000 in debt. So he wants you to give, but he wants you to give smartly and, based on what you can realistically do. Okay, so that's the 7 steps of his total plan. Sorry, everyone, this is our crazy dog. And so let's see, where are we going from here? Okay, so some of his just kind of quick words of wisdom before I go into the budget. So I told you the first one: give, save, pay bills, and then have fun. That's the order that he wants you to do things. He always talks about paying yourself first, and that really ultimately comes down to saving. And it's saving for all of these different steps that he has in his process. So he always talks about paying yourself first at the beginning of the month, at the very first, so that at the end of the month, when you might be scrounging, saving gets left off. It should be the first thing you do, not the last thing you do. Learn to delay pleasure. That one has been hard for Bo and I. We make good money, and so it's hard to
not go spend it,
and not go do the things a lot of our friends are doing. And so making together well into the 6 figures, but also realizing, hey, we're 6 figures into debt, and so we've got to take care of that first. And so just background, one way we have been able to have success with this is we are using Bo's entire paycheck to pay off debt, and my entire paycheck for living expenses, rent, bills, etc. And we plan on continuing that pattern in terms of, okay, well, once debt's paid off, well, when it comes to the savings, the 3 to 6 months of savings is the next step. We're going to continue to use his entire paycheck every month for that, and then continuing to live off of mine. I love what I do, and I don't ever want to stop doing what I do. And so that's kind of, for now, what our plan looks like.
But with that caveat, don't think that means that with this you have to live in poverty or squander. Like,
no, we still have fun.
You are able to have fun, and you are able to enjoy life and do the things you want to do. Mm-hmm. But, whereas I wanted a truck for the past 4 years and get rid of my little Honda Accord, my Honda Accord still runs, and it serves its purpose, and it gets me to my commute. And so that's something that, I'm having to delay in the long run for right now, because it doesn't fit financially. And, and learning how to, does it suck? Is it what you want to do sometimes? No, but it's for the long term, getting rid of the tunnel vision. Yeah. It's the best thing sometimes.
Yeah. And that's the last word of wisdom that I have from him is your level of passion for eliminating your debt or your saving or whatever that step you're on. We say eliminating debt a lot because that's currently our step, but whatever step you're on, he says your level of passion for that correlates to how fast you complete that step or get out of the debt. So while we have a strong passion to get out of debt, hence why we're living on mine, using his for debt, we could have had a stronger passion by paying off with mine and living on his. But we also want to be realistic and still have fun and go buy new clothes occasionally and go out to eat. We love going out to eat. That's our thing. And so you've got to find where your passion is and how to correlate that. So, okay, so moving right along. Okay, so in the file section, I put the quick start budget. So if y'all want to find that, you can. If you just want to kind of talk through it with me, that's fine too. So what I want y'all to do after this call, or if you need some time to really sit down, in the next couple of days, but the so this It's not going to get down into the nitty-gritty just yet, but this gives you a starting point to put it on paper and to really see all your categories, just what your budget even looks like.
And it's really good, like, if you have never really made a budget. Like, until we did this, I had never once made a budget in my life. And I just kind of knew that I had money in my checking account and kind of the ballpark range of where it needed to be. And, I know, well, Holly was a little bit nerdier than me, but so she probably had a budget. But
yes, I did. But actually him talking about nerdiness actually goes right into the next section real quick. So before, like, when it comes to actually doing a budget with your spouse, Dave Ramsey says, first and foremost, who needs to be doing the finances in the marriage? Every time it needs to be both of you. If you're not married, obviously just you. But with that caveat, if you are single, there's a whole section on Dave Ramsey with being single. If you want some of those links, let me know. Sorry.
hey, runner.
So there's always going to be a nerd and a free spirit when it comes to making a budget. The nerd loves doing the budget because it gives them control. The free spirit feels control. They're not really in it. They don't really care about it. I see lots of pointing of fingers going on right now. This is really funny. So, as I think y'all can already tell, I am the nerd. And my husband is the free spirit. So I think I even put a file on there that talks about budget talk rules that you should have every week, because you should sit down once a week. We do every Sunday afternoon and talk about the budget. Okay. Even if the budget's been planned for the month, it just once a week to make sure everyone's on on the same page. So there are rules for the budget talks. The nerd doesn't get to do everything. And the nerd is cut down on a time limit. I think it says 17 minutes is the max time you're allowed to sit down and have a budget talk at once.
Cut him off. And, don't be scared.
And he did. He literally walked away the first time. So he was done. So I stopped talking to myself. So it takes time. There were lots of arguments at first, but I promise in the end, it does nothing but improve the arguments. And
just, some support of that notion is that, the number one cause of divorce in America is money. And it's either not being informed of what's going on financially. It's, from either side. Or, I think one of the biggest things for us when we got married was joining our bank accounts.
And Dave Ramsey also suggests that. So I know there's a lot of heated discussions on joining or not joining it. Dave Ramsey says join your bank accounts, have one account that both of you have access to, and have everything flood into that.
I mean, when you're married, our view, Dave Ramsey's view, when you're married, you're one, and that goes to finances too.
Yeah.
So. And
that means he literally married into 6 figures of debt, and it is now as much his as it is mine. So
I screwed up on that one.
No. Okay. So I was talking about singles real quick. They do say they want he suggests having an accountability partner, someone that you can truly sit down and be open and trust your discussions with about your finances. This also goes this also needs to be someone before you go buy a car, like the big purchase items. Singles need to have that person that they can go to and truly trust and talk it over with. So that they don't just go rationally or irrationally or whatever, go make a purchase without at least having another opinion there. We bounce ideas and opinions and can I get this, can I get that off each other all the time. So I think singles just as much need that as much as a married couple. So a lot of people think Dave Ramsey is only for married people, but he has so much on if you are single, if you are divorced, if you're single with kids, all of that. So it truly can be a program that everyone follows.
Yeah.
So, okay. So with the quick budget or the budget in general, if you're just starting off making like real outlined budgets, He actually wants you to do it on paper. This is coming from Dave Ramsey. Every month for the first 3 months. So for 90 days, he wants all of your stuff to be on paper. Honestly, Bo and I didn't do that. So I'll tell y'all, that's what he says. But what he and I realistically did is we used youneedabudget.com, Y-O-U, needabudget.com. You can do it free for like 34 days or something random like that. The way that program works is you can put in all of your credit cards, your savings accounts, your checking accounts, everything can be streamed into this one website. And daily, just like your normal Wells Fargo checking account, the stuff gets imported day by day into this website. Dave Ramsey technically suggests a site called everydollar.com. So that is another good site.
That does the exact same thing. We simply use the other one because we actually started the youneedabudget.com in January. And we didn't start Dave Ramsey's class until March. And so we weren't going to transfer everything over to another site that we had already paid for. I think it was only like $45 for a year subscription to be able to use the site, something like that. It was not expensive and it was totally worth it to us. Yeah, I mean, and it's something I saw one of my friends on Facebook using it, so I checked it out and I told Holly, well, I tried to use it myself at first and then I said, screw this, I can't do this. So then Holly looked at it. She was able to play around in it and she's probably about to get into it, but Dave Ramsey, and you probably all have heard this if you've heard of Dave Ramsey, suggests using envelopes with cash. That's great. And I respect people that do that. A coach that I work with, they are very diligent about that. But
100% cash. I mean, every bill, they do everything cash.
But for us, I never want either one of us walking around with $6,000 in cash in her purse or, in my car or whatever. And just in the digital age that we live in, everyone uses debit cards. And so this is a program that allows you to envelope everything out and itemize it, gas, fund money, blow money, eating out money, electricity bill, and itemize it out to where you have that envelope, but it's just in a digital format, if that makes sense.
Yeah. There, I did put a file in the group of every category and subcategory that Bo and I currently have on our budget, so that you could at least see, because the hardest thing when it comes to making a budget, especially for us at first, was, well, what do I put on it? What is a category versus subcategory? And so I tried to show y'all what we personally use as our categories and how you break down each of those. But that's one of those things that Dave Ramsey says 90 days because it takes a solid 3 months to realize what your budget's really going to look like, what categories you need, what categories you don't need. And so it takes 90 whole days, and a lot of people give up on this program too soon because they don't give it the full 90 days to really give it a chance. So we still to this day kind of play with what categories and subcategories we need, even based on the month.
Because like for the first couple of months, we kept looking at this. What is this $8.99 charge that's coming out of my bank account every month?
Yeah, forget about what all your monthly subscriptions are that automatically get taken out.
Oh, it's Netflix. So we added a subcategory for Netflix, and it's $8.99, and it just gets zeroed out at the end of every month. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. So those categories are on there for you to see. I know. So actually creating the account can be frustrating. He honestly got up from the table and walked away and said, you do it, because he couldn't actually figure out how to get our accounts linked in there. Mm-hmm. I was going to show y'all step by step how we did it, but our accounts are already linked to our personal ones. So I don't know how else to create a fake account and show y'all that. So play around with it. If you have specific questions or you want to get on a one-to-one call with me or whatever, I'm more than happy to do that. If you have specific questions about how to actually get that website set up. I know Deidre, you had a question and I was going to try to address it on this, but I don't really know how else to do that as a whole thing. So If you have questions though, let me know, because we love it. It did take time to like sit down and figure out and get it like up and running though. How are we on time? Anyone? Okay, that's all right. I'll just keep talking until then.
You have to see.
How long?
You have a little over 10 minutes.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay, so about 10 minutes. So, so the whole point of a Dave Ramsey budget is what he calls a zero-based budget. This means that every single penny is somewhere in your budget. So if say your income, your monthly income is $33,552.18, you literally need to have that even 18 cents somewhere in your budget. It can be shoved in the stuff I forgot section, but it needs to be in there. And that is simply because those few pennies and those extra dollars that don't get accounted for add up over time. And since we've made a budget, you don't lose track of where your money is. Like even those $20 that's left over at the end of the month, you know where it is when you have a budget now. And that's the whole point of a zero-based budget. It doesn't mean
mean you spend everything to zero.
It doesn't mean your bank account goes to zero at the end of every month. He stressed that a lot in the class, which I thought was kind of funny. But it means you know where literally every single dollar and every single penny is at. Oh, good. Okay, I can see the countdown on the time now, so we're good. So we're there. Okay. Backing up really quick though, the budget, the four walls of the budget, which I think most people know, but in general, the things you need to make sure you obviously have the money for at the very beginning are going to be your food, your shelter, your basic clothing, not your Target Fun Money clothing, and transportation and utilities. So those are kind of obvious, but those are just not everyone, there are people out there that have to not pay a bill because they literally don't have the money for it at the end of the month. So those are the things that Dave Ramsey wants to stress that you get paid very first. Okay, so in the attachments, I attached several different types of budgets, okay? I don't want you to get overwhelmed with them. I just put them all on there that Dave Ramsey has. So the first one is the monthly cash flow plan. Hold on, I'm going to get my example out as well. So the monthly cash flow plan, I think, is the one that Bo and I actually used. Hold on. Sorry. Yes. Okay, so the monthly cash flow plan is essentially what Bo and I did. Mm-hmm. And at the top, you'll see that's where you put what your take-home pay is, okay? And so Bo and I each get paid once a month. And so and it's within the same week. So we just made it one lump sum together how much our monthly take-home pay is, okay? Then you go through this and you break down each category, okay? So your foods, you have $600 budgeted for groceries, and then Bo and I even subcategory that out to where we then have $400 a month for restaurants or whatever. So you break everything down, just like we've kind of said. You make sure every dollar has a home in your monthly cash flow plan or your budget. And then at the very end, you subtract all those category totals and you make sure it equals out to the penny what your take-home pay is. Quick caveat, because we have about 7 minutes left. I know obviously this is Beachbody and a lot of people have what they call an irregular income, okay? A lot of people think that Dave Ramsey cannot be done when you have an irregular income. He lets you know, though, that it absolutely can be done. So if you have a pretty good, like a basis on what you typically get paid, your average payment, he wants you to make your budget based off of whatever that average payment is. So if that's $5,000 a month, then you make it on $5,000 a month. If I know a lot of y'all are obviously paid weekly, and that's your full income, and so you can break it down into weekly. So you get $1,000 a week or $5,000 a week, whatever it is. And so if you're on an irregular income, but it really does totally vary month to month, Dave Ramsey says to start your budget with actually the lowest income, the lowest 3 months average. So your 3 lowest months income, average those together. That's what he wants you to start your budget as. That way you don't over budget or under budget. You're starting at your lowest that you've ever been at, so you have nowhere to go but up. That way, if you do have a really good month and you've got extra money left, this is where the irregular income planning form file that I posted comes in handy. So if you have an irregular budget and say you had a great month and you've got $3,000 left at the end of that month, that you make a list on this irregular income planning of all the extra things that you would like to pay for that your $5,000 a month budget didn't allow. But if you made $8,000 that month, that is what this list comes in handy for, because you can make a list of what you would want to pay off first or use it for first, and you go down that list until that extra $3,000 you had is gone. I know that was kind of a lot. Can you clarify that? Does that make sense?
The regular part?
The irregular part.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because you don't have an irregular budget.
I don't have an irregular income.
Okay.
Sorry.
So if you have, it's making sense in my head, but I don't think it's coming out very well. So if you have questions about that, let me know. And actually, we have about 4 minutes left. So if we want to stop here, because I think everyone's mind might be somewhat blown, we can stop here. I'll go into Debt Snowball next week. And we'll start here and just what questions do you have about budgeting, anything we've talked about, any of these crazy forms that I posted, anything.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so y'all are so cute, by the way.
Thanks.
Like, thank y'all so
1 year on Monday.
1 year, congratulations.
Thanks.
That's awesome. Where do y'all live?
So we live in Fort Worth.
Okay, yeah.
So the
I saw your Aggie ring, Jared. Yeah.
So whoever scheduled this did a poor job.
Sorry. Thank you both for being on while the Cowboys are playing.
Putting right there, bro.
So the form for irregular incomes is called what? I'm looking at the forms in Sister Empire.
Okay, so for the irregular income.
Oh, I see it.
Irregular income planning. So,
I see it.
So this isn't this isn't really what you'll use for your budget, though. This is what you'll use for. So you'll still use like the allocated spending plan or the monthly cash flow plan as your baseline like format of your budget. The irregular income planning is if your base is $5,000 and then you have $3,000 left over for the month. This would be your list of what you, in order you would want to pay off those extra things with that extra money you have for the month.
Okay, got it. Yes.
Okay.
Deidre chatted and said, loved it. I need all the forms. They're in a file in Sister Empire.
Yes, they're in the file in Sister Empire. And I didn't go over the allocated spending plan, but those of you that do get full incomes from Beachbody might actually like that one because you can actually separate what you're going to pay week by week. So when you open the allocated spending plan file, it shows pay periods 7/1 to 7/14. But for you, it would be 7/1 to 7/7. And then, so in that 1 week, you could figure out what bill or whatever you wanted to pay in that week with that money. And then you could go to the next week in the calendar and do it week by week if you wanted to. So it's just another option.
Okay. So are we, just while we're on, are we going to do another one next week, another training? Did you and Deidre decide that or what?
We haven't actually talked about it, but I mean, I don't see why not at this point. So we can do, because I want to go into the
Okay, we have a minute and a half. Does anyone have any questions? You can unmute yourself and ask. Thank you all so much. Like Jared and I,
It's going to be very eye-opening for my Amazon shopper.
I'm the free spirit, so yeah. So we have a lot to do, but I mean, it will be worth it to figure it out.
Yeah, and it's a lot at first, so
I guess.
Don't be overwhelmed. Really just take it piece by piece. It took us a long time to actually get a good budget going. We're in December, and I think literally it's only been the past couple of months that we have felt like strong and consistent with it.
And,
so you've got to stick with it.
And there will be fights. One of our biggest fight was cable and internet. And, there are going to be disagreements, but, it's just one of those things like talking, compromise, like you said, understand your passions and where you can give, but also where you can take.
Yeah.
So
that's all we got for tonight. So.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.